Welcome everybody to Positive Pyjama Chats for May 13. Wow, the year is flying past already. It's great to have you on board. I look forward to Wednesdays every week. It gives me a shot in the arm of positivity as well, and it's so great to be able to share it with you guys. We have been talking about the power that we have in our hands to stay happy and sane in these challenging times. And Judith, it was lovely to hear what you are doing to make sure you take action to stay happy in what is going on for all of us at the moment, but taking charge and responding in a way that is going to uplift us and make sure that we are in a place of being happy. This is so powerful because when we fall into that fear, we contract, we go smaller. We're wanting to stay positive and have a bigger picture of the world, but when we fall into that fear, it keeps our world small. Fear helps us stay safe and stay alive when there is actually a threat, but it literally shrinks how we're thinking, shrinks our creativity, narrows our mindset, and we go into preservation mode. It's really hard to think outside the box and think about what could be when we are fearful and scared. When we think abundantly, expansively, positively, we're free from that immediate danger, often more relaxed, but our attention expands. We're able to tap into that creativity. Our brains work better. We're more focused, not only creative, but able to improve and evolve, and it's a really dynamic space that our brains go into. We can collaborate with others, be more flexible in how we see the world and how we see a project, in how we can get things done, and really think differently outside of the box. It's actually been shown that when we are happy, the peripheral area of our sight actually is more active. We have more peripheral vision, literally. And so when we have that, we can actually think more clearly outside of that tunnel-focused vision that we're having with the problems. Not only can we see it with our eyes, we can see it in our minds. That enables us to think outside the box much more effectively, much more easily, collaboratively, and creatively. We've been talking about how we can step into those positive spaces by focusing on things that we can control rather than things that are outside of our control, and enabling that space of and that sense of control to really grow just by focusing on things that matter, that we do have control of. Last week, we were talking about our ability to respond to these situations, to choose deliberately how to act differently, how to choose to respond in a way that we want to. And I introduced you to the concept of when we do this, we step above the line. We focus on ownership, accountability, and responsibility. That impacts our attitude, our positivity, creativity, optimism, and happiness. Of course, our attitude, when we're in that space, has an impact on the actions that we take. Judith, you were saying that you're doing these beautiful creativity baking sessions and tapping into your community in a way that is uplifting you. That is such a beautiful action. Taking these lessons that I'm sharing with you that are life lessons that I've had, and you're putting them into action, that is so inspirational. That is really, really cool. And what results does that give you? Have a thought. In fact, you can even pop it into the chat. Have a thought about what results that gives you. And bear with me one second while I turn my chat on here in my other screen. That way I can see when you actually are chatting with me. That's really exciting. So attitude, actions, results, wow. And it makes your world so much bigger. You're absolutely right, Judith. Yes, it does. That is so cool. Really, really great. As I said, expanding how we're thinking. Alrighty. So, yes, our actions are influenced by our attitude, and our attitude and actions lead to magical results. When we take time to be deliberate about our attitude. And one of the ways that we went through last week, these 3 simple steps, 3 breaths, as quick as 3 breaths, if you want it to be, to think about situations from your own point of view, the other person's point of view, and an observer's point of view, that safe space to look at the whole situation. I wanted to expand on this concept of the 3 breaths and the 3 simple steps to show you where I do this. I read this book by Dr. Adam Fraser a couple of years ago, and it just blew my mind. He talks about this incredible 3rd space. If you go from one event, one space, to a 2nd space, for example, you might be going from work to home or from home to work. It's that transition space where we have space to breathe, to reflect, to rest, and to reset. This is a space where we have a chance to question ourselves so that we don't take the energy, unless we want to, from space 1 to space 2. We have the choice about whether that energy is supporting and positive for us, in which case we can take it to space 2 and expand from there, get even bigger and more powerful, and really sink into those great emotions. Or if it wasn't so positive, we have a way here in that transition space of resting, reflecting, and resetting, so that we can leave that energy from space 1 and create a more positive way to show up in space 2. It gives us a space to be deliberate, to be really impactful, and to choose for ourselves what we're wanting to do. So reflecting is choosing how we interpret what just happened. Is there a way that we can see it from our perspective, the other person's perspective, or a safe observer perspective that will help us understand what just happened in your world? Reset. Is there a space that you can be still and present, tapping into how you are feeling in this moment? Is there a space where you can see this situation from a safe place? If it was painful, sometimes we really need a safe place to be. And then from that safe place, choosing how you will show up in that 2nd space. That first space, or that first spot, is reflecting. Reflecting on how you prioritize what's going on, reflecting on what you want to focus on, reflecting on, do you have some time for yourself, which takes us into that that next step space, and some questions to ask yourself. So if we go from time for ourselves into this rest space, that rest space could be simply stretching, walking, choosing something healthy to eat, going to the fridge, getting a glass of water, or the kettle for that matter. Could it be an opportunity to relax, or even to meditate, even just for a moment, in a few deep breaths while you are quiet and go inside for just a moment? Their last step is resetting, allowing your mind to refocus, letting any doubts pass by you. So like we've spoken about with meditation, where you let the thought pass by and you don't attach to it. Stopping thoughts is just about impossible and takes way too much energy. But if you allow that thought just to drift past, thank it for sharing and let it move on, then you are enabling it to just go without any power in changing how you see the world and it changing your attitude if you don't want it to. An opportunity for how you will show up, creating and being deliberate about where you want to be in that step into the second space. It allows your creativity to really flow because you can step into the safe space and observe. You don't have to be feeling those emotions. You have a choice now. Some questions that you can ask to allow that self-reflection to happen. What can I learn from that? What do I want to create in my next interaction? What was it that went well for me today? If you're going from work to home and you're wanting a way to really empower how you're going to step into your family space, your precious space at home, however your day went at work, whether it was a fantastic day, the best day this month, or you had some real serious challenges that happened in that day. If you focus on what went well for me today, that will help you transition into that second space beautifully. So you can show up deliberately and powerfully in how you want to be in that second space for whatever that is. Community, family, your own space, it doesn't matter. You want to be the best version of you in that second space. This is a powerful way to create that opportunity. Because as Dr. Adam Fraser says, who wrote that Third Space book, happy people tend to be successful and accomplished for the simple reason that positive emotions lead to better performance and success. How is it that you want to show up in your job, with your family, in your sporting event, with your community, wherever you are? How is it that you want to show up? What is going to be true for you and light you up and be in your heart space? That is where your power comes from. That is how you get to a better performance and the success that is meaningful for you. Because what we do today can ultimately improve all of our tomorrows. It's powerful what we do deliberately. Here are some reflect, rest and reset discussion questions. So I want to thank you for joining us in the Positive Pyjama Chat again this morning. And I invite you to turn on your videos, turn on your microphones, and let's have a chat. Of the activities that I've mentioned in the reflecting, the resting and the reset phases, there are a number that we've spoken about before. Which one of these do you already do?
The reflect, reset, rest and reset?
Yes.
I don't do any of them with any particular regularity.
Right. Okay. Do you?
Not. I mean, I do them, but not as a conscious part of a process. You know,
right.
Like I sort of go, okay, well, I know I need to walk, and I know I need to eat healthy, and you know, I enjoy reading, and I try to take that time out, but it's not part of a process.
Right. Okay. So you haven't been conscious and deliberate about where to put those in the day. It's just, okay, at this point I need to, okay. Do you ever get, one of the things I notice that I do is when I start getting annoyed at things, it might be my hubby or it might just be life, I'll just say goodbye to him and just take myself off for a walk, and that just helps to clear my mind so that I can come back refreshed. And so I don't know if you've done anything like that. That's how I deal with things a lot when they start to annoy me.
I think I just tend to get stuck into everything else that's here to do. You know what I mean? Because there's always stuff to do around the house and big family, and so you just sort of go, oh, fine, I'll just go and do other stuff. But then that's a bit of a martyr syndrome, which I think is pointless.
Right.
But I still do it. So I put down in my notes, I commented that I need to work on that whole idea of, I think it's part of meditating, but maybe not, where you just think thoughts and let them go. Like you actually give them a bit of space and allow to think on them, but then allow them to go as well.
Right.
Rather than sit and ponder. Because I can ponder on the same thing for hours and days, and it can get me all if it's not a pleasant thing, or if it's been a root of an argument, where I need to work better on letting the thoughts continue to drift by, think it, let it go, and then I put on from there the notes about well, what can I learn from it, what are the actions that I'm going to take, what am I grateful for, and what do I want to create in the next action, because they're all positive, being proactive about it, and they're all sort of positive choices that I've got. So I've sort of put those down more as things that I need to work on, rather than, I think, recognising what I do. Because I do a fair few of those, but not necessarily as a response. It's more like, okay, I can fit this in now.
Right. So it's where life is allowing you to, as opposed to you choosing to do it, is what I'm hearing.
Yes.
Yeah?
Yeah, I think so. I've been very, very reactive to things, rather than sort of, I've never been a planner really in life anyway. So the whole idea of even planning your responses to things is quite foreign to me. Although I know there's huge benefit to it, and changes your circumstances, and that's the thing that I've got to move into, is going, well, I have choices, but I need to action them. I'm the one who has to action them. So the reset is the big thing. I think I probably need to also spend time on the reflect and interpret and rest, but the reset is I think a key one for me.
Yep. And what do you think might help you to reset? Is there any...
Probably the first 3 steps.
By the first 3 steps, are you talking about resting and the reflecting? Yeah? Or are you talking
and
about...
interpreting?
Yeah, okay, right.
Or the first 2 steps, I put reflect and interpret separately.
Right, okay, yep.
The reflect, rest and reset. Yeah, it probably helps to reset by actually taking notice of the early ones.
They do go together quite well, don't they?
Funny that.
Well, I didn't write it. Adam wrote it. But, I was just gobsmacked when I came across it, and I just thought, wow, this is really powerful stuff to just take you into, as a step-by-step hand-holding way to actually take you into that reset gently. Because I think if you try and just jump into the reset, it's really hard. But if you allow yourself to take step 1 and then step 2, the step 3 sort of just happens.
But you know what's interesting is I'm sort of thinking through that. I'm actually not getting panicky, but the idea of how much time is that going to take out of my day? Which sounds crazy, but that's been my big problem is like I'm always late to things, because I'll always go, I've got an extra 10 minutes, I'm going to squeeze that in.
Yep.
And, the idea of actually going somewhere and being early and sitting there and having nothing to do actually makes me anxious. I realised that about a year ago. I was telling Ben, and I went, that's weird, but I think I actually do feel anxious about the idea of getting somewhere early and going, well, what am I going to do with this time? I could be doing something at this time.
And I can't because I'm here.
Maybe just take a book, or just take something to sit and do.
Yep.
And I went, I could do that, I suppose. So I'm looking at that going, I'd probably jump to the last thing, because it's like, well, if I can just shortcut it, I think it'll save the time.
Okay, and what if it was easier to go the long way?
I hadn't had that thought. So interesting. Yeah, I'd have to think about that because it just doesn't logically. I go, okay, step 1, step 2, step 3, as opposed to step 3. Well, I'm already at step 3.
Right.
So yeah, no, I need to get that some thought actually about actually doing all 3 steps and having a better result at the end.
But
well, that sounds good.
It does sound good, doesn't it? It is a little bit counterintuitive when you think about taking a shortcut somewhere. That seems like the most logical thing to do. Why wouldn't you take a shortcut? But I have heard it said that it's often the longest way to do something is to take a shortcut.
Well, depends what shortcut we're talking about, but
yeah. Sure.
Yeah, and the whole, the other saying, what is it? Something like more haste, less speed.
Yes,
same sort of thing. So, yeah, so maybe I just need to give that some thought during this week. Going, okay, I maybe need to do the first few steps first, and then look at the reset.
The thing is, I mean, if it's not broke, don't fix it. If the reset is working for you, jumping straight into that, awesome.
Yeah. Probably it's worth looking at it as a whole, though. I mean, it's why try to reinvent the wheel if something is a process and it works, then I just need to give that some thought as well and practice.
Yes, practice is.
I guess the more we practice it, the quicker it happens too.
Yes,
that's true. That's true. So I think it's just that time factor that I sort of go, is that going to take more than a few minutes? And that's what I've got to get over. Yeah,
I think I do that as well a little bit, especially when I'm when I'm thinking about doing like a time audit. How long does it take me to do something? Well, if I have to write down what it was I did and how long it took me, that's just going to take forever.
That's why I haven't done it, but you make it look very beneficial, Lexis, to actually do them.
I make it look, but I haven't done it. I keep not wanting to do it.
Okay. No. I thought you'd done it before.
I've tried to do it before, multiple times.
Tried to do what, sorry?
A time audit. So you've got to actually time how long it takes to do the activities you're doing and write down what it was and how long it took. For a whole
yes, that's been our
I can't do it for a day yet. But if we can get it to happen, then then you can actually write down a clearer, like so when you're trying to say, okay, I'm going to set aside X time to do Y thing, you'll put a more realistic time frame on it instead of thinking it'll take 10 minutes and it takes 3 hours and you go, no wonder I'm late, or...
Yeah. Something that Ben often talks about is distractions, because of the work he does. Often it can take you time to get into what he's doing, and so he'll often sit with headphones on. And if he's got headphones on, I've got to work really hard at not distracting him, because it can take half an hour to get back into the level of work that you're doing from a distraction, and so it ends up making it so much longer than what you need. And so I've tried to think about that. Obviously, stuff I'm doing around the home doesn't require that much attention, but the whole idea of all those little distractions, like I went into the laundry to get some Velcro strips to hang something up that I needed to hang up. So it was done. I've actually written up and reading Proverbs, and I thought I'm going to start writing Proverbs up for the day for everyone to see. And I wanted to stick that on the thing. Went into the laundry and went, washing's finished. So I've now hung the washing out and I've come and done everything else, and I haven't got the Velcro strips yet. So it's another job that's not finished. The washing's hung out now, but that's not what I went into the laundry for.
Right.
So all these little things. And
for sure, yes.
I've been debunking with the kids about the whole idea of multitasking. It's like, that's a fallacy. You don't multitask.
Right.
You just do lots of little things at half the effort. It's not... I think it's actually been quite debunked that you can't multitask.
Correct. Not effectively.
Or not do things well. Not effectively. And so I'm trying to actually get them to understand that, because I'm failing at multitasking, not doing things effectively. So distractions is, how do we get on to that? That whole time audit thing.
Yes.
Yeah, I think just by trying to do one thing and finish it to completion, and I find myself saying that, like Jonah in particular, sweetheart, yes, I asked you to do that, but I wanted you to finish this first. So, but you asked me to do that. You could finish what you're doing first, and then go and do it. And it's like, well, I've got to put that into practice because I'm always stopping something and getting distracted. So, sorry, that was just a complete tangent on the time audit.
No, but that's beautiful.
Yeah, but it's the same thing,
Your kids are modelling what you're doing. So if you want to teach them, the best way to teach them is by doing it yourself.
Yes. Yeah, well, trying them, look, this doesn't work very well, does it?
Yeah, and then if you can, laughing at your mistakes or your slip-ups, going back into the old habit. But if you can focus, again, with that 7-day thing that you're talking about, is there a thing that you can focus on for the 7 days, for example?
Yeah. Oh, well, at the moment, I'm just wanting to do the whole get up for 7 days at 7 o'clock.
Yep.
And
perfect.
Yeah. That's what I'm creating that habit.
Yep. And so the thing with habits and discipline is once you've got one habit, then the best way to improve on that habit is to make one small mini change with that habit. So when I X, now I also Y.
Right.
Yes.
So it flows on to the next thing. And so you get a brain reminder okay, so I'm up and I'm doing my yoga. That means I also now have to do my whatever other thing, my meditation or whatever other. It's a similar concept of, okay, so first of all, my first habit is to put my shoes in front of my bed at night.
Yeah. And
so then in the morning you see the shoes and you go, great, yes, I have to get up and do whatever it was I was planning on doing with those shoes.
Put them on.
Yeah.
Not washing them. So you have to put them on and then go for a walk or do your whatever.
Yeah.
Yes.
No, totally.